There is a specific, quiet panic that sets in when you realize you are not where you were supposed to be. It's not the loud, frantic panic of an emergency. It's a dull, persistent ache that hums in the background of your daily life, a realization that the road you are walking isn't leading anywhere you actually want to go. Think about the path you are on right now. Maybe it's a career that pays the bills but starves your soul. Maybe it's a relationship that has become a comfortable cage. Or maybe it's just a version of yourself that you've outgrown, yet you keep wearing it like an old suit that no longer fits. You look ahead and see decades of the same routine, and your heart sinks. But when you look at the exit ramps, the opportunities to change, to pivot, to start from scratch, you freeze. You are caught in a psychological no man's land. You feel too old to be a beginner again, but you are far too young to spend the rest of your life feeling this empty. It is the sunk cost fallacy of the soul. We tell ourselves that because we have already invested 5, 10, or 15 years into this version of our lives. We have to see it through to the end. We treat our past mistakes like a life sentence. We think, I've already spent so much time becoming this person. It would be a waste to let it go now. But the truth we often ignore is that staying on the wrong path just because you've walked it for a long time is like continuing to drive toward a cliff because you've already used half a tank of gas. Why does starting over feel so much like failing? In our society, we are obsessed with the timeline. By 22, you should have the degree. By 30, you should have the career and the house. By 35, you should be established, stable, and settled. When we miss these invisible deadlines, we start to feel like damaged goods. We look at the 18-year-olds starting out with their endless energy and their lack of baggage, and we feel like we've lost the race before we even realized we were running it. We feel like the world is a party that we arrived at 2 hours late and all the good seats are already taken. But this too late narrative is a ghost, a shadow cast by the fear of being seen as a novice. The real reason we hesitate to start over isn't because we lack the time. It's because we lack the ego strength to be bad at something again. Starting over means being the person in the room who doesn't know the answers. It means being the oldest person in the entry-level position. It means admitting that the last few years were a detour, and our pride hates detours. So, we stay. We stay in the job we hate. We stay in the city that feels like a tomb. We stay because the safety of our current misery feels less threatening than the uncertainty of a new joy. However, there is a physical and mental toll to this stagnation. When you are too young to give up, your spirit won't let you rest in your unhappiness. It creates a friction. You spend every day fighting against your own potential. You are essentially holding a door shut while something inside you is screaming to get out. This is why you are so tired. It isn't the work itself. It's the energy it takes to pretend you still care about the work. It's the weight of the shoulds. I should be happy. I should be grateful. I should just settle down. But should is a word used by people who are living for others, not for themselves. Think about the version of you that exists 10 years from today. If you choose to stay exactly where you are, that person will be 10 years older and even more entrenched in the same regret. They will look back at the you of today and wonder why you thought 30, 40, or 50 was too old. They would give anything to have the time you have right now. Relative to that future person, you are incredibly young. You are currently the youngest you will ever be for the rest of your life. What would you do if you weren't afraid of being judged for restarting? What if you viewed your past years not as wasted time, but as a long, expensive education in what you don't want? That isn't a failure. That is clarity. Clarity is the most valuable thing you can own, but it usually arrives only after you've spent time in the wrong places. Starting over doesn't mean you are going back to zero. You are starting again with experience, with wisdom, and with a much sharper sense of who you are. You aren't a student anymore. You are an architect who finally knows how to build a house that won't collapse. Under the weight of your own unhappiness, the give-up path is tempting because it is quiet. It requires nothing from you. But the start-over path is where the life is. Yes, it is messy. Yes, people might talk. Yes, you might have to live with less for a while. But what is the price of your soul? What is the cost of spending the next 40 years wondering what if? You are not a tree. You are not rooted to the spot where you were planted. If the soil is toxic, if the light doesn't reach you there, you have the divine right to move. There is no correct timeline for a human life. Some people find their calling at 20, others find it at 60. The only wrong time to start is never. The only real waste of time is the time spent waiting for a permission slip that is never going to come. You have to give yourself permission. Permission to be a beginner. Permission to change your mind. Permission to admit that the old you was wrong about what would make the current you happy. If you are feeling stuck in that middle ground, too old to be young, but too young to be old, take a breath. You aren't behind. You aren't late. You are simply at a transition point that most people are too afraid to acknowledge. The fact that you feel this friction is actually a good sign. It means you are still alive inside. It means you still have hope, even if that hope is currently wrapped in fear. Don't let the fear of starting again convince you to stay in a life that has already finished. The world is wide, and there are 1,000 different lives you haven't tried yet. You don't need to see the whole map to take the first step off the path you're on. You just need to trust that being lost on a new road is better than being stuck on a dead-end one. You have carried the weight of your past decisions long enough. It is time to put them down. It is time to stop apologizing for wanting more out of your existence. You are not too old, you are just getting started. And the best part is, this time you actually know where you're going. Take the step, the world will catch you. And if it doesn't, you finally have the strength to learn how to fly. You owe it to the person you are becoming to leave the person you used to be behind. It's not too late. It's exactly the right time. Be brave enough to be a beginner. One more time, because the only thing worse than starting over is never starting at all. And you are far too young to spend the rest of your life wondering what might have happened if you had just been brave enough to try.